Captain Riley Thompson gripped the cold metal railing of the bridge as he stared at the main screen. The alien message had been playing on repeat for hours now, and each time it sent chills down his spine. 3 days ago, humanity thought they were alone in the universe. Now, they were listening to screams from across the galaxy. The bridge of the UES Thunderstrike hummed with quiet activity. Officers moved between stations, their faces tense as they processed what they were seeing. Lieutenant Jessica Walsh sat, hunched over her communications console, her headphones pressed tight against her ears as she tried to clean up the garbled transmission. "Sir, I'm picking up at least 12 different languages in this signal," Walsh called out, her voice strained. "The computer is having trouble with the translation, but the emotion is coming through loud and clear. These beings are terrified." "Oh." Main view screen flickered as another wave of static washed over the signal. Through the interference, grainy images appeared showing peaceful alien settlements under attack. Strange, colorful beings that looked nothing like humans ran through burning streets while dark. Predatory ships circled overhead like vultures. Admiral Blake Turner walked onto the bridge, his heavy boots echoing in the sudden silence. Every officer turned to look at him. Turner was a man who had seen combat in 3 different wars on Earth, but even he looked shaken by what they were witnessing. "Report, Captain," Turner said, settling into the command chair. Thompson gestured too. The signal originated from the Kepler system, approximately 47 light-years from Earth. We're looking at what appears to be a coordinated attack on civilian populations. The attackers aren't trying to conquer territory or steal resources. They're hunting these people for sport. Commander Brad Mitchell, the ship's tactical officer, pulled up a holographic display showing the attacking vessels. The aggressor ships are sleek and fast, designed more for intimidation than heavy combat. Their weapons seem calibrated to wound, rather than kill outright. They're drawing this out, making it last. Walsh suddenly straightened in her chair. "Admiral, I'm getting a cleaner signal now. Translation matrix is starting to work." She pressed a few buttons and suddenly alien voices filled the bridge, speaking in heavily accented but understandable English. "Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help. The Vactar have been hunting us for weeks. Our children, they take our children first. We have no weapons, no defenses. We are botanists and farmers, not warriors. Is there anyone out there who can help us?" The bridge fell completely silent. These weren't calls for military assistance or diplomatic intervention. These were the desperate pleas of innocents being slaughtered by monsters. Turner's jaw tightened as he watched more footage. Stream in. In one scene, alien families huddled together in what looked like a school while explosions rocked the building. In another, strange reptilian creatures in ornate armor dragged screaming civilians toward their ships. Sir Thompson said quietly, "We're receiving similar distress calls from 6 other star systems. This isn't an isolated incident. These Vactar are conducting a hunting campaign across multiple worlds." Lieutenant Walsh's hands shook as she adjusted her controls. "Admiral, I'm detecting responses to the distress signal. Other alien civilizations are receiving these messages too." She paused, listening to her headphones. They're saying they can't help. Their ships aren't built for combat. They're asking if anyone else can respond. Turner stood up. Slowly, his eyes never leaving the screen where terrified aliens continued to run from their pursuers. 40 years of military service had taught him to recognize evil when he saw it. Regardless of what species was committing it, Captain Lisa Rodriguez's voice crackled through the comm system from the heavy cruiser Warhammer. "Admiral, the entire 3rd Fleet is monitoring these transmissions. My crew is asking the same question I am. What are our orders?" Turner looked around the bridge at his officers. These men and women had joined Earth's first interstellar fleet thinking they would explore strange new worlds and make peaceful contact with alien civilizations. Instead, their first encounter with extraterrestrial life was watching genocide unfold in real time. "Captain Thompson," Turner said, his voice carrying the weight of command, "how long to reach the Kepler system at maximum burn?" Thompson consulted his navigation display. 18 hours, sir." Turner nodded grimly. "Signal the fleet. All ships are to prepare for immediate departure. Combat loadout." He paused, looking one more time at the screen showing alien children crying for their parents. It's time to show the galaxy what humans do to bullies. The 18-hour journey to Kepler felt like an eternity aboard the human fleet. Every ship buzzed with activity as crews prepared for humanity's first interstellar combat mission. In the Thunderstrike's briefing room, Commander Rachel Davis stood before a packed assembly of Marines, their faces grim under the harsh fluorescent lights. "Listen up, people," Davis began, activating the holographic display. "We've been receiving constant updates from refugee ships fleeing the Kepler system. The situation is worse than we initially thought." The display showed a three-dimensional map of the colony world. Red zones marking areas of Vector activity. Sergeant Troy Bennett raised his hand. "How many survivors are we looking at, Commander?" Davis's expression darkened. 3 weeks ago, Kepler colony housed roughly 200,000 beings from various peaceful species. Current estimates put the survivor count at around 60,000. The Vector aren't just killing randomly. They're methodical. They're savoring this. The room fell silent as the Marines processed this information. These weren't soldiers used. 2 easy victories. They were men and women who had trained for the possibility of fighting other humans. But the idea of facing alien predators who hunted sentient beings for sport was something entirely new. Colonel Jack Harrison, a veteran of the Mars colonial wars, stepped forward to address his troops. His weathered face bore scars from battles fought in the asteroid belt, but even he looked unsettled by what they were heading into. "I know what you're all thinking," Harrison said, his voice carrying through the room. "We've never fought aliens before. We don't know their tactics, their weaknesses, their capabilities." He paused, looking each Marine in the eye. "But here's what I do know. These Vector picked the wrong species to mess with. They've been hunting herbivores and peaceful explorers. They have no idea what's coming for them." Chief Engineer Amanda Foster joined the briefing, her tablet displaying technical readouts of the enemy ships they'd analyzed from the distress signals. "The Vector technology is impressive in some areas," she explained. "Their ships are faster than ours, and their energy shields are more advanced. But here's the interesting part. Their weapons are designed for capture and torture, not for quick kills." Captain Bobby Clark from the Marine Air Wing leaned forward. "What does that mean for us tactically?" Foster smiled grimly. "It means they've never faced an enemy that shoots back with the intent to destroy. Their entire military doctrine is based on hunting defenseless prey. They're not prepared for real combat." Meanwhile, on the bridge, Admiral Blake Turner received regular updates from his fleet commanders. Captain Lisa Rodriguez checked in from the Warhammer, her heavy cruiser loaded with enough firepower to level a small moon. "Admiral, my gunners are running final calibrations. We're ready to show these hunters what real predators look like." The destroyer Lightning, commanded by Captain David Johnson, reported from the fleet's outer perimeter. "Sir, we're starting. To pick up long-range sensor contacts, multiple large vessels in orbit around Kepler, plus dozens of smaller craft. They're not even trying to hide their presence." Lieutenant Tommy Walsh at the communications station suddenly straightened. "Admiral, we're receiving a new transmission. It's from the planet's surface." He patched it through to the main speakers. A weak, terrified voice filled the bridge. "This is Dr. Elena Vasquez, xenobiologist with the Kepler Research Station. If anyone receives this message, please help us. The Vector landed hunting parties 6 hours ago. They're moving through the civilian shelters systematically. They're not killing everyone immediately. They're taking trophies first." Turner's knuckles went white as he gripped his command chair. Behind him, officers exchanged dark looks. The idea of aliens torturing innocent civilians was bad enough, but hearing it described by a fellow human made it personal. "Time to intercept?" Turner asked his navigation officer. 47 minutes at current velocity, sir." Turner nodded, then activated the fleet-wide communication system. His voice carried to every ship, every sailor, every Marine in the Third Fleet. "People of Earth's Third Expeditionary Fleet," it began. "In less than an hour, we're going to drop out of hyperspace and face an enemy unlike any we've encountered before. These Vector think they're the ultimate hunters. They've spent weeks terrorizing innocent beings who couldn't fight back." He paused, looking out at the stars streaking past the view screen. But they made one critical mistake. They sent out a distress call that reached Earth. They brought themselves to the attention of a species that evolved from persistence hunters, that survived ice ages and plagues and wars. They're about to learn why every other species in our galaxy calls our homeworld a death world. Captain Johnson's voice crackled over the come from the lightning. Admiral, we're detecting the Kepler system on long-range sensors. I count 12 major Vector vessels in orbit, plus support craft. They're maintaining a hunting pattern over the civilian population centers. Turner stood up slowly, his years of command experience focusing into this single moment. All ships, battle stations. Weapons hot, shields up. Today the galaxy learns what happens when you threaten the innocent within earshot of humanity. The stars suddenly stopped streaking past the view screen as the human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler system. What they saw made every person on every bridge fall silent with rage. 12 massive Vector warships floated in lazy orbits around the blue and green world below. Their dark hulls gleamed like oil in the system's pale sunlight, and from their positions, bright lances of energy periodically shot down toward the planet's surface. These weren't military strikes against fortified positions. The aliens were casually bombarding refugee camps, picking off fleeing civilians like it was target practice. Admiral Blake Turner stood behind the tactical display on the Thunderstrike's bridge, watching the sensor readouts with growing fury. Each energy discharge from the enemy ships represented dozens of innocent lives snuffed out for sport. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Jessica Walsh from her communications station. "They're not even trying to hide what they're doing. Look at those firing patterns. They're herding the survivors into kill zones." Captain Riley Thompson adjusted the long-range scanners, bringing the alien vessels into sharper focus. "Admiral, I'm reading some kind of viewing platforms on those ships. They've got observation decks positioned to watch the carnage below." The bridge crew exchanged horrified looks. This wasn't war. This was entertainment. Suddenly Walsh's console chimed. "Sir, incoming transmission from the lead Vector vessel. They're hailing us." Turner straightened his uniform and walked to the center of the bridge. "Put them through, Lieutenant. Let's see what these monsters have to say for themselves." Main screen flickered, and suddenly the bridge was filled with the image of something that had crawled out of humanity's worst nightmares. The creature's reptilian face was covered in ritual scars that formed intricate patterns across its scaled skin. Its eyes were cold and predatory, and when it opened its mouth to speak, rows of razor-sharp teeth were visible. Diam Hunt Leader. "The Vacross of the Great Pack," the alien said, its voice a harsh rasp that seemed to echo from multiple throats. "You have entered our hunting grounds without permission. Withdraw immediately, or you will join the prey animals below." Turner stepped closer to the screen, his weathered face showing no fear despite being humanity's first face-to-face contact with a hostile alien species. "This is Admiral Blake Turner of the Terran Defense Force. You're slaughtering innocent civilians down there. Stop immediately and surrender, or we'll stop you ourselves." Vakros threw back its head and laughed, a sound like stones grinding together in a landslide. "Terrans, from the little blue death world? We have hunted your kind before, Softskin. Your species makes adequate prey, though you die too quickly to be truly entertaining." The bridge fell deadly quiet. Every human present felt their blood turn to ice at the casual mention of other humans being hunted and killed. Turner leaned forward, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "You've killed humans before?" "Oh yes," Vakros hissed with obvious pleasure. "Explorers mostly. Scientists. They screamed so beautifully when we began the harvest. Your species has such creative ways of expressing pain." Behind Turner weapons officer, Commander Brad Mitchell's hand moved instinctively toward his firing controls around the bridge. Every officer felt the same primal rage building in their chests. Turner's expression never changed, but something cold and deadly entered his eyes. "Hunt Leader Vakros, you have 30 seconds to power down your weapons and surrender your ships. This is your only warning." The alien's laughter became even more grating. "You think to threaten us, little Deathworlder? We are the apex predators of this galaxy. We have hunted thinking beings for millennia while your species was still learning to make fire. 20 seconds, Turner said calmly. Vakros' scarred face twisted into what might have been a grin. Your bravado is amusing, human. Perhaps we will keep you alive longer than the others, so you can watch as we harvest your crew for sport. 10 seconds. The alien leaned closer to its own screen, those predatory eyes gleaming with anticipation. Come then, Softskin. Show us what prey from a death world can do. Turner glanced at his tactical officer. Commander Mitchell, you have weapons release authority. Fire when ready. Mitchell's finger hovered over the firing control for exactly 1 second. Then, with the precision that came from years of training, he pressed the button. The heavy cruiser Vengeance, commanded by Captain Tommy Wilson, unleashed its full broadside at the lead Vector vessel. The alien ship's shields flared briefly, then collapsed under the massive barrage. What followed wasn't destruction so much as complete annihilation. The Vactar flagship simply ceased to exist, vaporized so thoroughly that not even debris remained. The silence that followed was broken, only by Turner's calm voice carrying across the fleet communication system, all ships, weapons free. These monsters have been hunting our people. Show them what happens when prey fights back. Across the human fleet, weapons systems that had been built to defend Earth against unknown threats finally found their purpose. The galaxy was about to learn that there were worse things than Deathworlders in the universe. There were angry Deathworlders with something to protect. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. For 14 minutes and 37 seconds, the human fleet systematically dismantled ships that had terrorized dozens of star systems. The Vactor vessels built for intimidation and designed to hunt defenseless prey found themselves facing an enemy that not only fought back, but did so with terrifying efficiency. Captain Kelly Brown watched from the bridge of the assault ship Hammer as her target, a massive Vactor cruiser, tried desperately to bring its weapons to bear. The alien ship moved with predatory grace, but its weapons were calibrated for torture, not warfare. When it fired on the Hammer, the energy beams barely scratched the human ship's military-grade armor. Their weapons are like toys, reported Lieutenant Bobby Martinez from the tactical station. They're designed to wound and capture, not to destroy. Brown nodded grimly. It's because they've never faced real opposition. Launch boarding pods. I want prisoners for questioning. The Vactar cruiser shuddered as human boarding pods slammed into its hull like metallic meteors. Within moments, teams of Marines in powered armor were cutting through the alien ships. Bulkheads with plasma torches, Brown led the first boarding team through the breach, her helmet display lighting up the darkened corridors of the enemy vessel. The Vactor ship's interior was a maze of twisted metal and organic curves. It's designed more like a predator's den than a military vessel. Movement ahead, called out Sergeant Chris Martinez, his rifle trained on the shadows. Multiple contacts. Moving away from us, human Marines advanced methodically through the ship, their heavy boots echoing in the alien corridors. They found evidence of the Vactor's hunting everywhere they looked. Cages lined the walls, some still containing terrified alien prisoners. Viewing screens showed recorded hunts from previous raids, displaying the suffering of innocent beings. For the entertainment of the crew, Captain Brown? Martinez's voice crackled over the cum from deeper in the ship. You need to see Cargo Bay 7. We found survivors, but ... His voice trailed off. Brown made her way to the cargo bay, her team, moving in perfect formation around her. What she found there made even these battle-hardened Marines stop in their tracks. The bay was filled with display cases containing what could only be described as trophies. Personal belongings, body parts, recorded final moments of victims from dozens of different species. These sick monsters, whispered Corporal Lisa Walker, her voice filled with disgust. They kept souvenirs of everyone they murdered. In the corner of the bay, huddled in a makeshift cage, were a dozen alien survivors. They cowered when they saw the humans approaching, clearly expecting more torture. Brown slowly removed her helmet, showing her human face. "It's okay," she said softly, not knowing if they could understand her words, but hoping her tone would convey safety. "We're here to help." Meanwhile, in space, the battle was turning into a rout. The remaining Vactar ships, realizing they were facing an enemy they had never encountered before, attempted to flee the system. But Admiral Turner had anticipated this. Commander Ashley Rodriguez's destroyer squadron was already in position. At the system's hyperspace jump points, as the alien ships tried to escape, they found their path blocked by human vessels with weapons already locked on target. "This is Commander Rodriguez to all Vector vessels," she broadcast on all frequencies. "You came here to hunt. Now you're the prey. Surrender or be destroyed." The lead fleeing ship responded by firing on Rodriguez's destroyer Lightning. The energy beam struck the human ship's shields and simply dissipated harmlessly. "Wrong answer," Rodriguez said calmly. "Captain Ryan Cooper, you have firing authorization?" The heavy cruiser Storm unleashed a devastating barrage that split the Vector vessel in half. The remaining alien ships found themselves caught between Rodriguez's squadron and the main human fleet, with nowhere to run. One by one, the Vector ships fell silent. Some were destroyed outright, others crippled and boarded. Within minutes, the alien fleet that had terrorized the Kepler system for weeks was reduced to floating debris and prisoners. On the planet's surface, surviving colonists slowly emerged from their hiding places as human dropships descended from orbit. These same aliens who had fled in terror from the Vector now watched in amazement as their rescuers stepped onto their world. Dr. Nicole Clark, the fleet's chief xenobiologist, was among the first humans to set foot on Kepler's surface. She found herself in what had once been a bustling alien city, reduced to smoking ruins by weeks of Vector hunting in a collapsed building. She discovered a small alien child, no bigger than a human toddler, crying softly over the still form of what was clearly its parent. The child had large, expressive eyes and soft, fur-like covering that changed color with its emotions. When it saw Clark approaching, it tried to hide behind the debris. Clark slowly knelt down and removed her helmet, showing the child her human face. She held out her hand, palm up, in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "You're safe now," she whispered, her voice carrying all the warmth and compassion that humanity could offer. "The monsters are gone. We won't let anyone hurt you again." The child looked at her with those large eyes and slowly, cautiously, reached out to touch her outstretched hand. In that moment, the galaxy changed forever. The age of the hunters was over, and the age of the protectors had begun. 3 days after the battle, the Kepler system was still buzzing with activity. Human engineers worked alongside alien survivors to rebuild what the Vector had destroyed, while medical teams treated the wounded with equipment hastily modified. For dozens of different alien biologies, the horror was over, but the galaxy was only beginning to understand what had just happened. Admiral Blake Turner stood in the observation deck of the Thunderstrike, watching repair crews from 5 different species working together on the planet below. It was a sight that would have been impossible just a week ago, when most of these civilizations barely knew of each other's existence. Admiral called Lieutenant Jessica Walsh from the communications station. "We're receiving an incoming fleet. Multiple ships, but they're broadcasting peaceful intentions." Turner nodded. "Put them through." The main screen flickered to life, showing sleek vessels with graceful, curved designs that looked more like works of art than spacecraft. These were clearly built by a species that had never known war, their hulls gleaming with polished metal and decorative patterns. "This is Ambassador Paul Roberts," Turner said as the alien delegation boarded his ship. The lead alien was tall and willowy, with pale blue skin and large eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. Behind the translator device, its voice carried a musical quality that somehow conveyed both wonder and fear. "I am First Speaker Veltar of the Zentari Confederation," the alien said, its words carefully measured. "We have traveled here as soon as we received word of what transpired. Your species, you destroyed the Vector fleet in 14 minutes. Captain Michelle Taylor, who had been designated as the fleet's diplomatic liaison, stepped forward. "Correct. They were hunting innocent civilians. We stopped them." The alien delegation exchanged what could only be described as amazed glances. First Speaker Veltar leaned forward, its large eyes fixed on Taylor's face. "You must understand. The Vector have been the terror of this sector for over 300 of your years. Entire civilizations have fled their home worlds rather than face their hunting fleets. We thought them unstoppable." Taylor's expression remained neutral. They weren't unstoppable. We're just bullies who had never faced anyone willing to fight back. Another member of the alien delegation, this one with crystalline features that caught the light like a living gemstone, spoke up. But your ships, your weapons, they were not designed for hunting. They were built for war. Turner joined the conversation, his weathered face serious. Our ships were built to defend the innocent. Sometimes that means fighting wars. The aliens fell silent, clearly struggling to process this concept. In their experience, advanced civilizations moved beyond violence. The idea that a species could be both technologically sophisticated and militarily powerful was foreign to them. First, Speaker Veltar finally spoke again. The other confederations must know of this. For the first time in centuries, the hunting fleets have been stopped. You have done something we thought impossible. It's down on the planet's surface. Admiral Turner later stood before a massive gathering in what had once been Kepler Colony's central square. Thousands of survivors from dozens of different species had gathered to see the humans who had saved them. Some looked like walking plants with delicate fronds for arms. Others resembled giant butterflies with translucent wings. Still others were completely unlike anything from Earth's biosphere. Despite their differences, they all shared the same expression as they looked up at Turner. Grateful relief mixed with awe. People of Kepler, Turner began, his voice carried by translators to reach every being in the crowd. We know you've been through hell. We know you've lost friends, family, entire communities to these predators. The crowd was completely silent, hanging on every word. We're going home now, he continued. Earth is far from here, and we have our own people to protect. But before we leave, we want you to know something important. What happened here will be remembered throughout the galaxy. Turner gestured to a tall metal structure that human engineers had erected in the center of the square. Ow. This beacon will broadcast a message to anyone who might be listening.
Ow.
Any species that thinks about hunting innocent people will hear what happened to the Vactar. Captain Andrews of the frigate Justice stepped forward to activate the beacon.
Eyes.
As the device hummed to life, his voice carried across all communication frequencies in the system. This is Captain Andrews of the Terran Defense Force, he said, his words being recorded for transmission across the galaxy. Let it be known throughout all civilized space. Earth protects those who cannot protect themselves. The age of hunting sentient beings for sport is over. We have seen what happens when predators prey on the innocent, and we will not allow it to continue. The beacon's transmission grew stronger, its signal reaching further into space with each passing second. Any species that considers itself a hunter of thinking beings, remember Kepler. Remember what happened to the Vactor? If you hunt our friends, you hunt us. We will find you, we will stop you, and we will show you what real predators look like. Andrews paused, then added the words that would echo across the galaxy for generations. Earth remembers, Earth protects. Earth does not forgive those who harm the innocent. As the human fleet prepared to depart for their long journey home, the beacon continued its transmission. The message would broadcast for 1,000 years. A permanent reminder that the galaxy had changed forever. The age of the hunters was over, and the age of the guardians had begun. Throughout space, predator species that had terrorized peaceful civilizations for millennia suddenly found their hunting expeditions canceled indefinitely. The galaxy had learned that there were worse things than Deathworlds in the universe. There were Deathworlders who cared about justice.